Hi, welcome back to Recap Cinema. Today, I will continue talking about the next episodes of The Silo. In the dark cave hanging above the water, Juliet panics and hauls herself back up. Scared and angry, she gets drunk, begins wearing George's watch again, and has flashbacks to their time together. Mayor Ruth Johns and Deputy Sam Marnes prepare to travel from up top all the way down the silo to meet with Juliet. A pair of judicial agents watch over them as they leave. Shirley Campbell gets Juliet up and awake after her night of drinking and vomiting in the hallway. Shirley wants to know what is wrong and notices that she is wearing George's watch again. As Juliet brushes her off, the room begins vibrating and Juliet knows her fix for the generator is failing. Johns and Marnes continue down the stairs, stopping at the level with the judicial offices for a water break. Johns does not go to see Judge Meadows, however, but makes it known that she passed by. Juliet rushes to the generator where Cooper is trying to fix it, but is pulled out violently by Juliet. Cooper is angry and wants to know how he is supposed to learn. After temporarily fixing the generator, Knox is angry at Juliet because she is late and smelling of alcohol. Juliet tells him that the generator has to be shut down and fixed properly or the issue could get worse. Knox doesn't want to be the guy to shut it down and potentially cause panic throughout the silo. He also punishes Juliet for punching Cooper. Johns visits Bernard in the IT department and brings him a gift of brandy. She wants his help with Judge Meadows, who is positioning Paul Billings to be the new sheriff instead of Juliet. Bernard says Juliet is a thief who stole heat tape that belonged to his department. Furthermore, he tells her that the ongoing lack of a sheriff is edging the silo closer to disaster. Despite John's efforts to appoint Juliet as the sheriff, Bernard strongly objects to her selection. Johns and Marnes reach the mids, and they are greeted by an enthusiastic crowd who cheer for her long health. Later, she goes to tour the baby wards where she meets Dr. Pete Nichols, Juliet's father. She talks with him about Juliet and finds out that she left the mids for the deep down after her mother's death at the age of 13, and Nichols hasn't heard from her since then. Juliet talks to Walker about her experience in the cave, admitting to being scared and letting George down. They start to argue when Walker brings up Juliet hitting Cooper, and Juliet attacks by throwing the fact that Martha had not left her workshop in 20 years in her face. Johns and Marnes stop at the park level for food, and they are approached by Robert Sims. He offers them fresh strawberries courtesy of Judge Meadows. Johns sees it as an intimidation tactic, and while Sims can understand John's reasoning for at least meeting with Juliet, he tells her that a choice has to be made and Billings is the ideal candidate. Juliet stands on the rails and thinks about George where she hears the rumbling of the engine again. In mechanical, the fix is getting closer to failing. Juliet rushes back to the engine and starts overseeing the repairs as Deputy Hank leads Johns and Marnes into the control room. Johns realizes that the engine is not supposed to vibrate like this and tells Knox to not let Juliet leave and goes to see her old friend Martha for an honest opinion on Juliet. Johns also compliments the illegal radio that Martha has made in her workshop. After some time, Johns and Juliet meet and Juliet is told that Holston Becker chose her as the next sheriff and that only he and Johns want her in the role. Juliet turns it down but is given Holston's badge as per his last request. As the mechanical crew talks about it, everyone gives their opinion on Juliet, saying that she would make a good sheriff. Hank gets Holston's badge from Juliet and finds something etched on the back of the badge that makes Juliet to rethink her decision. She rushes to tell Johns that she will take the job, but on one condition, that she is allowed to fix the generator, which means turning it off temporarily and darkening the silo. Johns reluctantly agrees and authorizes an 8-hour power outage. Residents are ordered to stay at home or in designated safe areas where they see lush green outside view for a split second as the generator is shut down. Knox explains that the generator is to be shut down, but they will only have 30 minutes to do the work as the steam that feeds the generator can only be shut down for that long before the pressure buildup will ruin the entire system. The silo is switched to backup power and Knox closes the valve to 50% to allow the main panels to be lifted off to inspect the damage before committing to the full shutdown. Juliet and Cooper are hoisted up to repair the rotor blades and the steam is shut off completely to let them work. One blade is removed and sent down for straightening, with other blades needing repairs as well. People wait for the outage to end throughout the silo. Sims comforts his young son. Johns and Marnes admit that they have feelings for each other. In the generator, the pressure is redlining faster than the crew expected. Juliet leaves Cooper to fix the blades while she goes into the pressure chamber and hoses down the valve with water to keep it from overheating. Juliet almost drowns, but Cooper manages to fix the blades in time. Knox restarts the generator and the silo goes back to full power, making the residents happy. Juliet prepares to leave the deep down and later apologizes to Martha and gives her a relic from George's stash because she wants to figure out what it is. Juliet takes her leave from Shirley and looks at the back of the sheriff's badge, which has the word truth etched on the back. Bernard meets Johns and Marnes as they head back up the stairs. He is not supportive of their decision to stop the generator or the appointment of Juliet as the new sheriff. In her office, Johns signs the order for Juliet to be the new sheriff, then tells Marnes to get a bottle of wine to take to her apartment while she uses the restroom. Marnes gets concerned when Johns doesn't answer him and breaks down the door to find her convulsing on the floor with blood running from her mouth. Making her way up the silo, Juliet stops outside her father's clinic in the mids and remembers a time when she, her father, and her mother saved the life of her brother, Jacob. She is pulled away by a porter who is sent to retrieve her due to a situation in up top. Mayor Ruth Johns has been murdered by ingesting rat poison, and Juliet finds Bernard, Sims, and Marnes discussing the situation. Marnes believes it was a targeted attack on him and Johns, and that if the mayor's water bottle was not leaking, he would also be dead. Due to the rules of the pact, Bernard is now a temporary mayor and promises to formally swear Juliet in as sheriff as soon as possible. Sims promises to get Marnes a list of criminals in the mids who might have caused to harm him, but requests that what he does, he pursues it quietly. A flashback shows some of Juliet's life after her mother and brother died. Her father works day and night at the hospital, and he needs her to pack up dead relatives' things for recycling because according to the laws, they cannot keep things which can be used by other people. Walking through the cafeteria, Juliet arrives at the sheriff's station. She is shown to the office by Sandy, who is immediately aggressive with her. Juliet reminds her that she is now her new boss and wants George Wilkins' file. Juliet explores the office and the filing cabinet, looks into holding 3, and finally goes to Holston Becker's old apartment, which is now hers. Flashbacks continue to show Juliet's life as she delivers her mother and brother's possessions to recycling, trying to cook, and almost starting a fire and fixing her mother's old chair. Juliet clashes with her father, whom she blames for her family not being around any longer. Bernard arrives at Juliet's apartment to swear her in as sheriff. They discuss the stealing of heat tape and agree to let bygones be bygones. Juliet is sworn in over a copy of the pact. With a combination to the restricted locker, Juliet goes looking through it and is given paperwork by Sandy concerning arrangements for the mayor's ceremonial funeral. It turns out that Judicial has no file on George Wilkins, but Sandy passes a file that Holston left for his successor. Inside is a handwritten note that reads, "Double of flowers in front of the mirror." As Juliet reads through the files, she is alerted to a problem in the mids. Marnes is beating a suspect. Juliet arrives and calms the situation down, taking Marnes for coffee. She takes him into her confidence about what happened between her and Holston that caused him to choose her as his successor. They make a deal. Marnes will help her find out who killed George, and she will help him find out who murdered the mayor. Marnes takes Juliet to talk to a con man, Patrick Kennedy, but they are unsuccessful to find any leads. Juliet asks Marnes about a hard drive in Holston's possession and is told that anything like that would have been taken to recycling. They talk about the mayor, and Juliet realizes that Johns and Marnes were close. She begins to wonder if Marnes was the target as he believes. In a flashback, Juliet leaves her quarters, passes her father's clinic, and heads for mechanical. She convinces Martha to take her in as a shadow and is assigned to the scavenging team. Shirley gives Juliet the lowdown on how the recycling system works and their part in scavenging and repairing technology. Juliet visits the recycling station on level 20, looking for the hard drive and paper with Allison's notes. But she finds out that neither of them were handed in, so she asks the operator to message her if they turn up. In a flashback, Nichols arrives in mechanical, aware that she forged the note to get the job. He realizes that Juliet is happier in the deep down and that she is good at what she is doing. So he agrees to let Juliet stay, and Juliet is assigned to Shadow Knox. In present, Marnes retrieves his shotgun and sets up a makeshift punching bag. Robert Sims arrives to talk to Marnes, telling him Judge Meadows is ready to get Juliet out of the sheriff role and Paul Billings into it if both Marnes and Bernard sign off on it. Marnes tells Sims to hold off for now, thinking that she might fail on her own. On the way back to her apartment, Juliet meets Lucas Kyle in the cafeteria, who is a lover of the night sky. Later, Juliet talks with Martha over the radio about her findings as Marnes listens in. In Martha's workshop, she works to get the relic left to her by Juliet working. Juliet arrives back at her apartment and is bothered by a noise coming from a vent. She starts investigating it while Marnes is attacked in his own home by a man and left staring down the barrel of a shotgun. In her apartment, Juliet finds what she is looking for hidden in the vent system, George Wilkins' file. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.